welcome to the Transformational Podcast, a conversation between brothers about practical ways faith is impacting our lives. We invite you to join us on this journey as we are learning to let faith transform the way we live. We are glad you are with us today and look forward to sharing our journey with you. Now let's jump in.
Welcome to the Transformational Podcast. I'm Chris, the pastor from Paradise, with my brother, the Marine from Maryland, Robert. And we're wrapping. I don't know if this will drop the Monday after Thanksgiving, but this is the weekend after Thanksgiving, and just had a good Thanksgiving with mom and dad over at Cooper. Okay. We built a fence.
Did you really?
Yep, had to build some fence, and so.
Did y'all build a fence around that
pond? Yeah.
Yeah, and you're building it because the cows were trying to chew on the wires. Is that what that was?
Well, that already happened, but it's part of the requirements for NRCS, and so we had to get that done before the end of the year. So we knocked it out, little 5-strand wire and
barbed
wire fence.
Is that the requirement?
No, that's just
that 4-strand is
trying to make sure all the cows stay.
Okay.
Out. But anyway, we got it done, and it was good, man. Got to spend some time out there. We went over to the 5-acre lake, just me and Barrett, because he'd been wanting to go, and so we went over, and we can't get on the dock anymore. We need to replace that dock. We need to actually tear that one down and start over. But anyway, that's a project that is not on the top of the list, but there's plenty of room around the bank for fishing. And dude, we hammered them.
Did you really?
Oh yeah. My first cast,
ripping lips,
pulled in a little 3-pounder. I mean, no like lunker 8s or 9s or anything, but I'm talking fun 2s and 3s. Right. So,
awesome.
Pulled those in.
Those are fun.
And, fun time. And then I got to see
Was it
Lou
cold there when you were there?
It was chilly, especially in the mornings.
Surprised.
I got a pig while I was there. We saw a pig on the deer feeder one night.
Nice.
And so I just decided I'd walk down there and just see if I saw any more. I wish I had someone with me because I don't have a light on my weapon.
Okay,
so I was trying to hold my And man, that made it difficult. But
it's tricky.
I got them.
It's tricky.
Not the ones I wanted, but since I was down there by myself, I wasn't really interested in trying to wade in there and look for the bigger ones.
That's true. Yeah.
I was just, more or less going, all right, let's get this one and scare the rest off.
For those who don't know, I mean, because there's a lot of folks who don't understand why you'd want to go shoot a pig randomly.
Wreak havoc on the land. I mean, make it undrivable. And
it literally makes it look like the surface of the moon.
Oh yeah.
It is unbelievable. Or like maybe even like a war-torn, countryside in World War II. It's just, it's incredible what they do. I have never seen anything like it.
Now we actually really need to go and disc the bottom part down there because they've created, such a havoc. And every time it rains, it holds water. So when the cows walk through, it just turns it into a giant mud pit. Anyway, we need to rectify that situation one day, but till then we got to get these pigs off the land, man. They can go back to the bottomlands and live down there.
Well, hey Chris, since it is after Thanksgiving, I have my Christmas up.
I see that. It's finally to see that Robert might actually have,
I even was the first to start playing Christmas music yesterday because, Santa comes in on the Macy's Day Parade. We watch that as a family. It's kind of what we do. A little bit of a tradition for us.
Can I tell you
what?
Here's a hot sports take.
Okay, give me.
I remember when we were younger, we didn't have to watch all of the performances. I'll be honest, I'm not as interested in all the performances. I'd like to see the marching bands, and I'd like to see the floats.
Did you watch any of them this year? It was a throwback to our era, Chris. I mean, whoever set the parade up. Whoever set the parade up was like, I know who watches the parade. That's right.
Yeah. But it was like, you remember when they used to, if you didn't want to watch the actual performance, you could flip over to another station that had another angle of it.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't have that anymore. We don't have that option. So
no, I didn't see it.
I was kind of bummed about it because
I don't really have live TV though as much. I have I think I got Hulu or something that I can watch like one channel. So,
well, I think the reason for it is because there was so many of those that were like specifically speaking, the Broadway plays that I'm like, I'm not coming to Broadway. Like, I get that y'all are trying to advertise for this show that you're doing, but no, I'm not coming. So,
well, we did that, and then we went and saw Hillary's family, and later on in the day, Krista worked. Cracker Barrel stays open on Thanksgiving, which is kind of funny to me because we were like, who goes to Cracker Barrel on Thanksgiving? And then Krista worked and she met several of our friends. So now we know who.
Funny.
Now we know who goes to Cracker Barrel.
I bet they were thankful for that.
They were. I mean, some of them are
thankful.
Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah, there we go.
I mean, some of them they're letting like maybe kids either are families out, so it's like a smaller crowd at home, and so they're like, hey, let's just go do something easy, or in some cases it's like, oh, kids surprised us coming home and I'm not cooking, so we're going to Thanksgiving. So anyway, she did that. That's but we celebrated Thanksgiving kind of late on the actual day, and then we spent all day today. We spent all day yesterday cleaning the house, because if you're going to put all the Christmas out, you got to clean the house. We did that. And it did need it, Chris. It was a little bit of a spring cleaning in the fall. Then we spent all day getting Christmas up. It's just a kind of a family event. Everybody comes out for it, which is kind of fun. And we're at the age now where no one's crying if they don't get to put the one thing up, and people are like, oh, you wanted to put this one up, here you go. So there's no fighting over ornaments. We were joking about setting this tree up here behind me, Chris. You know how old this tree behind me is?
Ancient is what you're telling me.
Yeah. Ancient. Yeah. It's about 23 years old. It's about as old as we are married.
It's amazing it didn't dry out already.
Chris, that thing is, it's as fake as it gets. And we're talking 2002 fake.
Wow.
And what's funny, Chris, is it's been losing those little green leaves on the ground for 20-ish years. And I mean, we literally I think we sweep up buckets of it every year. And today we were laughing. We're like, but there still aren't any bare, limbs here. Like, where is it coming from? And we're like, well, maybe it grows it in the winter, or
in storage.
Yeah, in storage.
Regrows.
Yeah, so that was my week, Chris.
What did y'all have for your main? What is your main protein at Thanksgiving? What did you have?
We did turkey, but you know what we learned? This is kind of interesting. So we did the what food do you not like at Thanksgiving, and then what's your favorite food at at Thanksgiving? We just kind of were doing table talk. We learned that we eat turkey. Everybody eats turkey, but would probably be happy without turkey. Throw a ham out. Hillary's like, throw a ham out and let's go buy 2 rotisserie chickens at the store.
That's what I'm talking about.
Eat that
so
up.
Mom asked us if we wanted ham or turkey. Well, I said ham because I
like
smoked turkey, Robert. When I go to a barbecue joint, I'll get smoked turkey. I like that.
Yeah.
But I'm just never been much of a turkey person in general.
Yeah.
What I really remember is the time that was it Christmas or was it Thanksgiving that you cooked that brisket back in Nacogdoches?
Oh, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. I'm like, we're from Texas. We should have brisket at every celebration. I think that should be a new rule. In fact, I'm going to run for office here in Texas, and we're going to set a law saying it should be an offering.
You shall have brisket
at every holiday celebration. Anyway,
I think that year, Chris, we had the brisket. I think Texas A&M actually beat the Longhorns.
They did.
Oh,
yeah. Thanks. Hey, listen. Here's the deal, Rob. You know what? At least the Aggies still have a meaningful game left. They'll actually be in the playoffs, not the Cheez-It Bowl or Toilet Bowl or whatever Texas will end up in.
Are they going to be in the playoffs?
Hey, we're happy to help Texas's season end with something meaningful.
You wanted Arch Manning to get something, right?
They have nothing meaningful left. So,
oh my God.
Which I'm grateful for. That's actually, I'm going to put that on my Thanksgiving list. I'm grateful.
That's on your Thanksgiving? Yes. Okay. So funny. Hey, speaking of Thanksgiving, you had some, you've been working through the scriptures, and you said you were almost finished, but one of the ones that hit you this week was Psalms 130. I think you said
136.
136.
Yeah. So,
you want to jump into it now?
Yeah. When it comes to Thanksgiving, a lot of people do the deal where it's like, what are you thankful for?
Yeah.
Oh, which, by the way, let me hit pause real quick, just in case. So, by the way, we had ham and turkey, and Lou made the turkey. and it was delicious. I had a piece.
Good
But
job,
I ate
Blue
mostly
Ellen.
ham. But my boys love the turkey. I liked it too. It's just if I'm going to choose between turkey or ham,
every time.
I'm going ham. So
I know.
Anyway.
And when you reheat ham, you're gonna do a little pan fry, a little pan fry and some butter.
Honestly,
you know what I'm
I just eat it cold.
Throw some egg on it.
I just eat it cold.
You can do that too. You can do that too.
Yeah. But what you're saying sounds good too. But anyway. All right. So I was thinking when it comes to Thanksgiving, a lot of times people go, all right, what are you thankful for? What's one thing,
Yeah.
A lot of families do that. I think it's a good practice to not just do this on Thanksgiving, but that we regularly talk about, hey, what are we thankful for? And so it brings to mind Psalm 136 that talks about giving thanks for the Lord. And he walks through a lot of different reasons to give thanks to the Lord. And I want to read a few of those.
Can I tell you what other things I love about this chapter while you're pulling that up, or at least thinking about which ones you're going to read? It's like a call and response. It says, give thanks to the Lord, or give thanks to God, give thanks. And then it says, his love endures forever. And every scripture, or I'm sorry, every verse here will say his love endures forever. And the one reason I love this psalm the most is we're giving thanks to him because his love endures forever. And it is almost a call and response. It's a reminder that it's because his love endures forever, we can give thanks.
Yeah.
And so you can, I just love that part of the Psalms, because it's every verse. Yeah. His love endures forever. And Chris, one of the times I read it, I was like, sometimes you can find yourself skimming over it.
Yeah.
You say it and his love endures forever. I was like, no, I'm going to read it out loud every time. And by the time I got through verse 26, I was like, man, it's like his love does truly endure forever. So I can kind of see it like building in my own soul as I'm kind of going through it and reading it out loud. Anyway, which one should you
highlight?
What's
really cool, I mean, I'll start with the first at the top, but when it gets to his faithful love endures forever, it's a word that is hasad or hasad. I don't even think I'm saying that right, but hasad. Okay. But basically, it's a steadfast, unchanging love. Hold on, it is a covenantal type of love. It's related to the faithfulness to God's covenant. That's what that word. It's related to covenant love. So I love that, because he's saying, hey, when he's thinking about his faithful love, he's thinking of his covenantal love, the love that basically, and when you begin to understand what a covenant is, it will not be broken. The only way it's broken is actually through death. That's and it's actually established through death. That's why they cut the animal in half. And when God had made a covenant with Abraham, saying, "Hey, your people will be my people," and all that. Smoking pot through the middle, basically symbolism of the Spirit moving through to, and basically what it was saying when you made this covenant is that if I break it, let me be like this animal. Let me be cut apart
and torn in half.
Torn in half. So it's a
Can
beautiful picture. Go ahead.
Can I tell you a funny story real quick? Yeah. Sorry, this is truly has nothing to do.
Which, by the way, so when they say to make a covenant, this is just before we get too far from that thought. In Hebrew is karat barit, which means to cut a covenant. You make a covenant. They literally say to cut a covenant. Anyway.
Well, good, because when I was at the Naval Academy years ago, we had a speaker come to the Naval Academy and ask, I think it was a sophomore or something like that, and asked, hey, what does it mean to make a covenant? Like, what's a covenant to you? And I stood up and I gave the biblical definition of a covenant. And that, a covenant is made. It's made between two animals. Historically speaking, it's made two animals that were cut in half. And that if you violate the covenant, you're basically saying, by that covenant, let me be torn apart like this animal. Let me die. Mm-hmm. I said this, and my buddies, and by the way, still love them to death. My buddies relentlessly made fun of me for like the next 3 years, Chris. Not 1 year, not 1 week.
That's great. That's
3
good
years.
Friends. Good
They're
friends.
like, Bobby Ray, a covenant. It It was ridiculous. So anyway, every time I hear covenant from here on out, I think of them giving me a hard time about that.
Don't ask me what the definition is.
But that is the biblical definition.
Yeah.
Whether they like it or not, the biblical definition is.
You sure you send them this podcast?
I will.
Take a listen to this, suckers.
This is what it says. Whatever you said, Barat.
Karat Barit.
Yeah, there you go.
Which is also fun fact one of the ways we got to the name Barrett.
Nice.
Covenant, and then Christopher in the Greek origin is Christ bearer, so its name means covenant Christ bearer. And so anyway, so that being said, that's what, when he says faithful love endures forever, he's saying, hey, your covenant love, it will never fail. It's always there. So give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. Now the word good there is very fun, because it's deserving of esteem and respect. What does he mean by he is good? He's deserving of respect, basically, of esteem and respect, to be esteemed. And so that's his character, that he's high. So give thanks to the Lord, for he's respectable. Is to be esteemed, right? Give thanks to the God of gods. In other words, he is the God above all gods, he is the one true God. His faithful love endures forever. Give thanks to the Lord of lords. And I'm going to skip the his faithful love endures forever part. That's just fine. To speed this up a little bit.
Yeah, we got 26 verses of it. But I still encourage you to sit down and actually read it when you do have time.
So every time I read a line, say this in your head: his faithful love endures forever. All right, Indeed. Here we go. Give thanks to him who alone does mighty miracles. Now, and I love this, because I'm guessing this writer, and I did not dig into this yet, but I'm guessing this writer is likely I don't know if this is an Abrahamic writer or a Davidic. Anyway, was probably Davidic. Anyway, Doesn't matter who wrote it. I did not look it up. You may want to. It doesn't matter.
That's fine. Keep going.
But that being said,
take a look.
He says he does mighty miracles. So now we're starting to recognize so it starts with who God is and his character. Then it starts turning to the power and the ways that they've seen him move, like his ability, what he's done. Give thanks to him alone who does mighty miracles. Give thanks to him who made the heavens so skillfully. So when you think of heavens, it's the abode of God and the angels. Basically, it's not just the sky in the air. It's beyond what we even can grasp. Right? Universe, galaxies beyond, to infinity and beyond. Give thanks to him who placed the earth among the waters. Give thanks. So we're talking about creation now. Give thanks to him who made the heavenly lights, the stars, right? The sun to rule the day, the moon and the stars to rule the night. Give thanks to him who killed the firstborn of Egypt. He brought Israel out of Egypt. He acted with a strong hand and powerful arm, right? He's talking about when God delivered Israel from Egyptian slavery, which, if you back that up, God made a promise to Abraham, who had a son named Isaac. Yep. Isaac had a son named Jacob. His name was renamed to Israel, but he had a son named Joseph, who was sold into slavery, went into Egypt through a series of events, becomes in charge in Egypt. There's a terrible drought, so his family winds up moving to Egypt. Right, I'm totally bypassing the big pieces of the story. If you don't know it, go check it out. But they moved to Egypt. The family keeps growing. It becomes as numerous, mighty in number. And so the Egyptians said, "Oh, we better make them our slaves, or they'll overtake us." So that's how they became in slavery. And then they started crying out to God. God says, "All right, now's the time. I'm going to deliver you, and I'm going to fulfill the promise I made to your great great grandfather Abraham." But Pharaoh wasn't going to let him go. So what does he do? He has a series of plagues, and the final plague was when he came through and killed the firstborn in Egypt in order to deliver his people out of Egypt. Now, here's what's so interesting, is it is foreshadowing what Jesus would do, that Jesus would come in and be the cover for sin, because the only way that the Israelites, their firstborn was not killed, is they put blood of a lamb over their doorposts, so that when the angel of death came, it passed over. Well, Jesus is the Passover lamb whose blood was shed so that death would pass over us, right? To deliver us from the slavery to sin. Anyway, great picture. So I only say all that to say he's creating a picture of some physical stuff, but it should remind us of a spiritual situation that we were in when there was a spiritual bondage, and we look back on our lives and go, man, I'm so thankful because Robert, like I didn't have a drug addiction, and I didn't have terrible problems and crime or anything like that. But here's what I do know is I know the person I would have been without God's grace.
That's truth,
God delivered me from that.
Yeah.
Because I already know even with God's grace, I know where I struggle and I know where I mess up. And the truth is that but for the grace of God, I wouldn't be who I am or where I am today, but for God's grace. And so you look back and he goes, why do we give thanks? Because God is our great deliverer.
Yeah, because God
rescued us.
Rescued us from who we would have been. And in this case, they would have been enslaved forever.
Yeah. And so he goes on, give thanks to him who parted the Red Sea. He led Israel safely through, but he hurled Pharaoh and his army into the Red Sea. He defended them. He from the army of Pharaoh that was coming to attack and try to capture him again. Go ahead.
What's interesting about this one, Chris, that I've thought about in the past is that when he did that act of having the Israelites come up to the Red Sea, not be able to get through, so that Pharaoh would, basically give chase, come up and go, oh, they're confused. Well, I'm going to get them to come back. And, I'm kind of mad now because we lost all our firstborns. And so we're really going to have it out on them. God set that up so that when the Israelites went through and then he swallowed up Pharaoh's army in the Red Sea, he ensured Israel's safety for at least a generation. At least a generation, because there was nothing to reconstitute in Egypt. Egypt had no possibility, no potential whatsoever to go out and get them out of the wilderness of Sinai and bring them back. There was nothing left.
He removed the threat.
That's
for
right.
At least a generation.
For at least a generation. So I thought that was really interesting when I read that. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Did you know that they found at the bottom of the Red Sea like chariot wheels that are?
I've looked into it. I feel like there's a little bit of conflicting report on that. I haven't seen anybody like with the actual stuff, so that's why I've always kind of held off on that. But it's not hard to know where they crossed, Chris, because there's only one place in the depth charts, the depth sounding charts.
Oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah,
that makes sense, and it literally looks like a highway. So when he says, there's other verses that talk about he made a highway through the Red Sea. Yeah. And it actually looks just like a highway through the Red Sea. So it's pretty fascinating. To send
you what I saw and see what your thoughts are. But
okay,
because I like to dig into the archaeology stuff. It's been fascinating to me lately.
We don't need it because it's actually there. Like in other words, it's been recorded in
extra biblical records.
That's right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
It's in the history books outside of the Bible. Anyway, just find it fascinating. Anyway.
Yeah.
So let's see. He give thanks to him who led his people through the wilderness. And then give thanks to him who struck down the mighty kings. He killed powerful kings, Sihon of the Amorites and King Og, king of Bashan. God gave the land of these kings as an inheritance, a special possession to his servant Israel, which was a fulfillment of his promise to Abraham that was hundreds of years prior to this. Their great-great-grandfather, basically.
Yeah.
Or maybe more than that. Actually, more than that now. But hundreds of years priar.
I'm not gonna do math in public, Chris. You can't draw me into that one.
I was trying to track it in my head. Anyway.
Yeah.
But I love that because now some are like, wait, he stole the. No, I don't. Here's the reality: is that God is the one who set borders in place and people, but those people rejected God, and that was part of the problem, the sin problem to begin with, and they started chasing after false gods. There's a spiritual kingdom that they were serving, and so these false gods are actually just, part of the kingdom of darkness, and so rejecting God and God's ways and setting up imitations of what they think God is like. And so he gave them opportunity to turn. I believe that's what Romans tells us. He got that the qualities of God is seen throughout creation. No one has an excuse. Right.
Yep.
And so, so that being said,
some of them followed some of them actually went with Israelites. Now,
That's
some
right,
of
they
them were
did.
called the rabble who went with them, but there were others. I would feel like there were others who weren't rabble per se, as much as they were like, hey, I saw God move and I'm in.
Yeah, I'm with the guy who just made that highway in the Red Sea. Then 23, I like this one. He remembered us in our weakness.
That's my favorite. I was waiting for you to get to that
goodness,
one.
man.
Right?
Yeah.
Like that hits home.
It does, doesn't it? Why does it hit home for you?
Well, because I think you know your weakness and you know where you need his help. And you know the times when you're like, oh man, I stunk that yesterday up. I stunk that yesterday up because whatever your weakness is, like I let that get away from me. And now today I'm like, God, I need to do better today. And it's like, you don't ever have to worry about coming to him and him being like, hey, you're not good enough. You can, he's like, hey, I'm glad you're back. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
Let's take care of this.
Come here. Let's bring it in. Let's hug this out, but let's have a conversation about who I've called you to be, not who you were. And that's that remembered you in your lowest state. Like who you were, not who you're called to be.
Yeah. I love it too, just from the standpoint of he doesn't love you because of your performance.
Yeah.
He doesn't love, you don't have to earn it, right? He remembers us in our weakness, that when I'm weak, he is strong, right?
Yeah.
And so I love that passage because I think when we feel the most unlovable, his faithful love endures forever. When we feel most unlovable, his faithful love endures forever. I love that thought.
I do too.
And then he goes on and says, he saved us from our enemies, which once again, our enemy's not flesh and blood. There's a spiritual enemy, and he rescues us from that. Sometimes they use physical enemies to inflict damage. But the reality is our battle's not with flesh and blood, that God is the ruler that we live under. He has all authority, and he saved us from our spiritual enemies. And then I love this. He gives food to every living thing. Like, why worry about tomorrow? For tomorrow will take care of itself. Like, this is so great because I think it goes along with what Jesus is teaching about, hey, don't worry about anything. You see the birds? I take care of the birds. You look at the flowers. I clothe the flowers. Look, don't worry about anything.
Aren't you more important than that?
Yeah. Don't you think I'm going to take care of you? I created you in my image.
Yeah.
Right? And I love it because it's just a reminder, he is our provider.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get all stressed and worried about, jobs and economy and all these things. And Robert, you walked through a little bit of this because during a government shutdown, that affects you, but I didn't see you stress or worry one time. I mean,
no, God takes care of you.
But at the end of the day, it's like one of those things that his faithful love endures forever. And then it says, give thanks to the God of heaven. His faithful love endures forever. So I love it because he goes back to the attributes and the power and the might and the faithfulness of God, and just reminds us, hey, you have plenty to be thankful for.
Yeah.
And it's in recognizing who he is, that heart of gratitude should inform our attitude, right? It should change the way we think and change the way we live.
Yeah, I think that's why, you said gratitude should inform our attitude or should change our attitude, whatever. It should shape our attitude.
Yeah.
I think that's why during the Thanksgiving, time frame, it is a good practice, not just during this time, but for me, I kind of do it around Thanksgiving, but I'll be honest, Chris, most of the time I do it at the end of the year, is I kind of take an end of the year in review kind of thing. And I look through the year and I'm like, I want to review all the areas where I saw God's faithfulness poke through. It's not because I'm like trying to I don't know, rehash the past or whatever, so much as it is, I want to go back and be thankful again. And that's really what the psalmist is doing here. I did look it up, Chris. They don't really know who exactly, sort of maybe attributed to David. Doesn't really matter. Yeah. But the psalmist here is saying, hey, give thanks to the Lord for he is good. And then he goes through basically through their history to bring them up to date and says, hey, I'm going to give thanks to the Lord, thanks to God of heaven, because his love endures forever. It starts and stops with giving thanks to the Lord. And I think that's why it is important to stop, look through the year, say, hey, this is what I'm thankful for. This is what I'm not thankful for, etc. I was reading something the other day and it wasn't even, honestly, Chris, it wasn't even spiritual. It was just some I don't know, psychological like writing or whatever it was. And it was talking about how when we're thankful, and it was written around around Thanksgiving, it was like when we're thankful, it rewires our brain, or it causes our brain to rewire itself into this, into an outward, because to be thankful, you have to be thankful to something, right?
Right.
So it takes us from inward to outward. It takes us from, from depressed to grateful.
Right.
It takes us from basically from darkness to light. And I'm sitting here going, yeah, well, I'm pretty sure that's the way Jesus designed it. I'm pretty sure that's the way God designed us. And that's why he brings us back to it so often. And that's why I take myself to it so often. And so even in times when, things are maybe not necessarily how I would like them to be.
Yeah.
I'll sit and go, but Lord, you know what? I am grateful that they're not how as bad as they could be.
Right.
But also I'm grateful that you walk with me through it. And so yeah, I like this. I like this chapter because of this. I think you were saying though you were looking at something else.
Let me jump
ahead.
real quick to Philippians 4:6. That says, "Don't worry about anything. Instead, pray about everything. But tell God what you need, and thank Him for all He's done." I heard someone say, "It is difficult to worry and be grateful at the same time."
Yeah.
That your gratitude will reshape your attitude regardless of what you're going through. And I love that idea. But here's the other thing I thought about, like along those lines. I'm reading through Job on a regular basis right now as I'm finishing out. I'm actually one reading away from being done with reading through the Bible.
Nice.
In a year. For the 14th time, Robert. Like, I'm pumped. Anyway, which I only tell you that because I want to see how many times I can do it before.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with saying I
go see Jesus.
I haven't.
Hopefully it encourages people. Because for me, it's one of those deals of how well could God help me know the word?
Yeah.
If 25 times, 30 times, like how
and
well.
I want to let people in on something about you, Chris. Is that okay? I'm going to tell them a secret.
I don't know.
Something that everybody doesn't know. When Chris was coming up through like high school and stuff like that, Chris didn't read so well.
No, I didn't. I was terrible.
He hated reading, and I don't know if it was because you didn't read well or whatever.
You want to know the story?
You hated reading.
The story is I had a teacher who made me feel like I was dumb during silent sustained reading, and I convinced myself I had a reading disability that mom and dad wouldn't tell me about. And it wasn't until my freshman year of honors English, and I was doing terrible, and they're like, "What is going on?" I was like, "Well, I've got a reading disability, and y'all won't tell me." And they're like, "What?
What are you talking about?"
So anyway, went into it, and anyway, they got me help. But it's interesting because I think that experience honestly just ruined me for reading. Like I didn't want anything to do with it because I thought I was bad at it. Why would I do it?
Here's the point I was making.
I know where you're going with it. Go ahead.
Like if Chris can read the Bible 14 times, and he said he fit a 1-year reading plan into 2 years,
2.5
years. So he managed to get it to 2.5 years. Like if he can do that, like anybody can. And I have my Bible. I'm a little bit ahead, so I'll probably hit it again. I don't necessarily keep up with how many times I've read it, Chris. I judge it by the number of broke down Bibles I have. But
there you
go. But here's the thing. I think you were trying to make point is that that's that daily sustained time with him, where he feeds us, and we're thankful for that, and that also kind of helps reshape our attitude as well as just being gratitude.
So that being said, here's the jump. All right,
jump.
So Job has this experience where he has everything. Everything's great. The enemy goes to God and says, "Hey, he only worships you because everything's great." God says, "All right, you can test him." And so he tests him, takes stuff away. He still praises him. He said, "Well, it's because you don't let me affect him." And he's like, "All right, but you can't kill him." And so it affects him. And then
can I just tell you real quick though, like, Lord, if you feel the need to test me this way, just know I'm going to fail. And let's skip the whole testing part.
Well, here's what I love. At first, it says Job cried out and he defended God to his own wife. He says, "Naked I came into the world, naked I'll leave. Blessed be the name of the Lord." And
that's right.
Here's what I noticed though, as he continued to question God's righteousness and whatever, that's where I feel like, or God's goodness, right?
Yep.
Which is interesting. Give thanks, Lord, for He is good. Like he begins to question those things and that God's just and things like that. And his friends are basically saying, well, you clearly must have sinned. And they were wrong in that, right? That those two. But then Elihu comes last. And what I think is interesting about Elihu is he's partially there and partially not there.
He's the only one, though, that didn't have to repent, just as a side note. Like, he's the only one that Job didn't actually have to pray for, the last one.
Oh, yeah, Elihu, right? And I find it interesting because of what he doesn't... He actually has one of the longer speeches, and I guess he picks up in chapter 35, or is it 34?
Okay. I'm getting there.
He actually... No, what's interesting is he starts a while back. 33. He says basically, Job, pay attention when I say, I speak with all sincerity, right? Or is it 32? Anyway, he waits till last and he speaks. Yeah, there it is. Elihu waits till last and he sings. He says, I'm young and you're old, so I held back from telling you what I think, which I find fascinating because I think it's great for us to listen, but also recognize, once again, Elihu's the only one who didn't have to repent, but then also recognize that, hey, it's really good to listen and seek to understand first before being understood. Mm-hmm. And then he says, sometimes the elders are not wise. Sometimes the aged do not understand justice. So listen to me and let me tell you what I think. All right. And so he goes through and just says, kind of addresses some of the things that Job had said, but he presents his case against Job, starting in verse 33, and
chapter 33.
Yeah, but he goes back to things like, you and I both belong to God. I too was formed from clay, so you don't need to be afraid of me. I won't come down hard on you, right? He's speaking wild truth. But he goes, I heard your words. I'm pure in heart, without saying you've said God's picking a quarrel with me, right? And you made all these accusations against God. He says, but you are wrong, and I'll show you why. For God is greater than any human being. So why are you bringing a charge against him? Why say he doesn't respond to people's complaints? And he starts talking about the character of God, right? We go back to that Psalm 136. Give thanks for what he's good, thankful of endures. Starts talking of, and he doesn't, here's what's interesting. He doesn't make a claim against Job like his friends did of going, well, you must have done something wrong. You must have done something to deserve it. No, he just defends God, and God's character is what he does. He talks about how good God is, but then in chapter 34, he goes, part of your problem is your arrogance, right? You've said I'm innocent against God, that God's in the wrong, and I couldn't ever win the argument anyway. But he goes in chapter 34, verse 10, the Almighty can do no wrong. God doesn't sin. And so he's going, you're making claims against God that just can't be true, that there aren't true. But then he goes, 35, Job speaks out of ignorance. His words lack insight. Job, you deserve the maximum penalty for the wicked way you've talked. Not necessarily for what he's done, but the way that he's talked about God, because he's not holding him in high esteem. But then he reminds him of his justice, in God's justice in chapter 35. And then chapter 36, he's talking. This is where I want to go. Chapter 36, verse 22. Look, God is all powerful. Who is a teacher like him? Down 26. God is greater than we can understand. He draws up the water vapor and then distills to rain. Rain pours down from the clouds. Who can understand the spreading of the clouds and the thunder that rolls forth from heaven? So, by the way, he's talking about the way the water cycle works.
Well before they really knew what the water cycle
right? That's fascinating, right?
Yeah, I know. I've
found
seen
that
it before.
Interesting. But he talks about God's character that's seen throughout nature. You go to chapter 37, he directs the snow to fall on the earth. He tells the rain. Like he goes on and on about the goodness and the power and the might and the wonders of God.
And then to a certain extent, Chris, while you're thinking, his questioning or his discussion or maybe even his monologue to Job is very similar to God's monologue to
Well,
Job.
that's what I was going to point. I find it interesting that it shifts. Finally, he speaks about God's justice and his might and the way he's moved in nature.
Yeah.
And that's where the shift happens to God finally responding.
Yeah. Yep.
Right. It sets the table for what God's about to say.
That's right.
And then God goes, hey, Job, where were you when I laid the foundations? Chapter 38 of the earth. Right. Tell me, if you know so much, who determines dimensions stretched out the surveying line? I wonder if it wasn't Elihu that God was actually using to set the table for the message that God had for Job.
Yeah, could
you
be.
know what I'm saying? Because it's along the same lines. Now, he goes through all the mighty things that he's done, and the rain, dew, ice, all the different things. Can you direct the stars? Can you the animals that we're creating, the hyraxes, the lioness that stalk the prey, right? He talks about just God's greatness and the way he designed nature. Now, I go back to this. I wonder if Job, in the midst of his pain and amidst his struggle, had turned his eyes to God's goodness that he'd seen before, right? In his weakness. Then in his weakness, he goes, hey, even my weakness, God, I recognize that your faithful love endures forever.
Yeah.
You're a good God. You've provided me in the past. You've taken care of me. I don't understand it, and I don't even like it. But I do trust, and I do believe that your faithful love endures forever. Right? Yeah. I wonder if the book of Job would have been shorter. but that being said, I think it's a good example for us to go, man, hey, times are going to be tough, but an attitude of gratitude will change the way we see life and the way we experience life. And
absolutely.
So being intentional with those, give thanks to God. What reasons do you have today to give thanks to God?
Yeah.
How about the job where you get to work, the place you get to go to? What about, the people that you get to work for? Well, I'm not grateful for them. Well, maybe, but can you take a step back and go, hey, what's one reason you could be grateful for them?
That's right.
Or could it be that God's given you an opportunity to make, God, thank you for this opportunity to make an impact in their life. I know that they don't know you. God, thank you that you've given me this opportunity, right? God, thank you that you've given me a place to work that allows me to come home and provide for my family. God, thank you for my spouse and for the things that they do. Right. The things that they've done, the way that they serve the family, the way that they help the family, the way they take care of like we get so focused on the things that our spouse doesn't do that's what creates the drag in the relationship. But if we had this kind of attitude, it would just change our experience altogether. The enemy wants you to focus on the negative. The enemy wants you to focus on what's not good. But when you begin to go, hey, God, you've given me reason to praise you. You've given me reason for gratitude. I want to take time and recognize it and let you just remind me of your faithful love, that it is a covenant kind of love, that it never ends and it never runs out.
Yeah. I mean, Job finishes his discussion with the Lord and he says, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. You asked, who is this who obscures my plans without knowledge? And Job says, surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. You said, listen now and I will speak. I will question you and you shall answer me. And Job says, my ears have heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. And he says, therefore I despise myself and repent. I repent in dust and ashes. So here's the thing that I kind of see as you were talking about this, Job, and as we were kind of fast forwarding through it, is even with Job having spoken out of turn, in other words, having to repent and being in ashes and the rest, God answered him in a way that didn't answer any of his questions, first of all.
Yeah.
But second of all, God did not smite him. He didn't and now I'm going to rub you out.
No, because his faithful love endures forever.
That is right. And that's the point.
Yeah.
That's the point. Even with what Job went through, his faithful love endures forever. Because as you mentioned at that very first verse, is it says that he is deserving for esteem and respect. He is good. That is that first part of Psalms 136, that he deserves esteem and respect because he is good. His faithful love endures forever. So we hope that as you're closing out your Thanksgiving and you're jumping right into Christmas, and I'm sure that it's fast and furious because Chris, if you're like me, you maybe have not even made any list yet, or maybe you haven't even started buying. That's probably not your household. I realize you have Julie, so you're well ahead of that.
Well, we've got
as you're jumping in, as you're jumping into the fast-paced part of the end of the year, take some time to turn back to the Lord and be thankful for He is good. He deserves esteem and respect because His love does endure forever. It is the covenantal love. Bring us home there, Chris. You already hit us once with gratitude and attitude. I'm just curious.
I mean, it just comes down to that when you have a heart of gratitude, it would absolutely shape your attitude and change your experience.
Amen.
Thank you for taking time to join us today. Our prayer is that you are encouraged in your own journey as you let faith transform the way you live. If you enjoyed hanging with us today, let us know by leaving us a 5-star review and sharing our podcast with others. We look forward to discussing what God is doing in our lives in our next episode.